A woman doesn't fall madly in love by accident. It doesn't just happen because you showed up, because you said the right words once, or because you were there at the right time. When a woman is deeply attached to a man, when she is emotionally invested without confusion, without games, without hesitation, there are clear reasons behind it, and most men miss them. They think it's luck, they think it's about looks, money, or saying the perfect lines, so they chase harder, they try more, they copy what they see other men doing. And in the process, they lose the very things that actually create real attachment. Because real attachment is not built on effort alone, it is built on how a woman feels around you over time. That is the difference. A woman can be attracted to many men, but she doesn't fall deeply for many. That level of connection only happens when certain things are consistently present. When she feels something with you that she doesn't feel with others, something stable, something real, something that makes her stay without needing to be convinced. Now understand this clearly. When a woman is truly in love with you, you don't need to guess, you don't need to overthink, you don't need to chase her attention every moment. Her actions become clear, her energy becomes consistent, and her presence becomes intentional. That doesn't come from random attraction. It comes from specific behaviors that trigger emotional connection at a deeper level. And if you don't understand those behaviors, you will keep trying things that only create surface level interest, not real attachment. So in this video, I'm going to break down 5 reasons a woman becomes madly in love with a man. Not based on assumptions, not based on trends, but based on patterns that actually work in real situations. Because once you understand this, you stop chasing reactions and you start creating connection. And when you do that, love is no longer something you struggle to get. It becomes something that naturally stays. A woman falls deeply for a man who makes her feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. That is where most men get it wrong. They think safety means protection, strength, or presence. That matters, but it is not enough. What creates real attachment is how she feels when she opens up around you. Can she speak freely without being judged? Can she express herself without feeling dismissed? Can she show parts of herself that she usually hides without feeling embarrassed or exposed? That is emotional safety. When a woman feels that with you, everything changes. Because in most situations, people hold back. They filter what they say, they adjust how they act, they protect themselves from being misunderstood or rejected. That is normal. But when she is around a man who listens without mocking, who understands without interrupting, and who doesn't use her vulnerability against her, she relaxes. And once she relaxes, she connects. That connection is not forced, it is not created through effort or pressure. It happens naturally because she feels comfortable being herself without needing to perform. Another thing you need to understand is this: emotional safety is rare. A lot of men dismiss feelings. They joke at the wrong time, they interrupt. They try to fix everything instead of understanding it. And because of that, women learn to hold back. So when she meets someone who is different, someone who allows her to be herself without pressure, it stands out. And that feeling stays. Because once a woman associates you with peace, she becomes attached to that experience. She knows she can come to you without stress, without confusion, without needing to explain herself repeatedly. That is powerful. So the point is simple. If she feels safe with you, she opens up. If she opens up, she connects. And once she connects at that level, it becomes difficult for her to detach. That is where real attachment begins. A woman falls deeply for a man who is not desperate for her. This is where most men lose without realizing it. They think the more attention they give, the more available they are, the more they chase, the more she will feel valued and stay. In reality, it does the opposite. Desperation lowers your value. When a man is constantly seeking her attention, always available, always adjusting, always trying to impress, it sends a clear message. It shows that he needs her response to feel secure. It shows that his focus depends on her presence. That is not attractive because attraction is not built on need. It is built on control. Now understand this clearly. Wanting a woman is normal. Being interested is normal. Showing effort is normal. But when it crosses into dependency, when it feels like you need her to feel complete, everything changes. Your decisions become reactive. Your behavior becomes predictable, and your presence becomes less impactful. A woman notices this not because she is analyzing every detail, but because the energy feels different. There is no space, no mystery, no sense that you have a life outside of her. Everything revolves around her. And when everything revolves around her, there is nothing left to chase. Another thing you need to understand is this. A man who is not desperate moves differently. He has his own life, his own priorities, and his own direction. He does not rush to respond. He does not drop everything to be available. He engages, but he does not depend. That creates balance because now she feels that your attention is given, not needed. And when something is given by choice, it carries more value. It feels real. It feels intentional. That is what builds respect. So the point is simple. Do not move like you need her. Move like you choose her. Because the moment she feels that difference, her perception changes. And once respect is there, attraction grows naturally. A woman falls deeply for a man who makes her feel special in a real way. Not forced, not copied, not rehearsed. Real. This is where most men go wrong. They try too hard. They repeat lines they've seen somewhere. They give compliments that sound generic. They treat her the same way they treat every other woman, just with more effort. And she can feel it because it doesn't come from you. It feels like something you learned, not something you mean. Now understand this clearly. Making a woman feel special is not about saying more. It is about noticing more. It is about how you pay attention to details that others ignore. The way she speaks, the way she reacts, the small things she does that most people overlook. When you acknowledge those things naturally, without forcing it, it feels different. It feels personal. Another thing is how you communicate. You don't speak to her like she is just another option. You don't give the same energy you give to everyone else. There is a level of attention that is specific to her, not something you can copy and paste. That is what creates emotional connection because now she feels seen, not just looked at, not just complimented, but understood in a way that feels genuine. And that is rare. Most people don't pay that level of attention. They focus on what is obvious. They react to what is on the surface. But when you notice things that are not obvious, it shows depth. And depth creates connection. Another thing to understand is this. You don't need to exaggerate. You don't need to overdo it. When something is real, it is simple. A natural observation, a genuine reaction, a specific detail that shows you are actually paying attention. That is enough. So the point is simple. Don't try to impress her with effort that is not real. Be present, be observant, and respond in your own way. Because when a woman feels uniquely seen by you, not treated like everyone else, that connection becomes deeper. And once that depth is there, attachment follows naturally. A woman falls deeply for a man who is consistent. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient. Consistent. This is one of the most overlooked things, yet it carries the most weight. Nothing confuses a woman faster than inconsistency. One day you're present, attentive, and engaged. The next day you disappear, your energy drops, your communication changes, and she has to start guessing what's going on. That does not create love, it creates uncertainty. And uncertainty does not build attachment, it creates distance. Now, understand this clearly. A woman can deal with a lot of things, but unpredictability is one of the quickest ways to break emotional connection. Because when your behavior keeps changing, she cannot settle into anything real with you. She is always adjusting. She is always trying to figure you out. She is always questioning where she stands. That is exhausting. And over time, it pushes her away. But when you are consistent, everything changes. Your words match your actions. Your energy stays steady. You don't randomly switch behavior. You don't go from high interest to low interest without reason. You move with clarity that creates stability. And stability builds trust. Trust is what turns attraction into something deeper. It allows her to relax. It allows her to stop guessing. It allows her to invest emotionally without feeling like things will suddenly change. That is what makes her stay. Another thing you need to understand is this. Consistency is not about being perfect. It is about being predictable in the right way. She knows how you respond. She knows how you act. She knows what to expect from you. And that removes confusion, because when there is no confusion, there is no need to hold back. So the point is simple. If your energy is stable, she feels secure. If she feels secure, she connects deeper. And once that connection is built on trust, it becomes stronger over time. That is how attraction turns into real attachment. A woman falls deeply for a man who has direction, not potential, not talk, direction. This is where a lot of men lose without realizing it. They focus on attraction, on attention, on saying the right things, but they don't build a life that actually commands respect. And without that, nothing lasts. Because no matter how strong the initial attraction is, it fades if there is no direction behind it. Now understand this clearly. A man without purpose is hard to trust. Not because he is a bad person, but because he is unstable. He doesn't know where he is going, so everything around him feels uncertain. His decisions change, his focus shifts, and his energy becomes inconsistent. That affects everything. A woman can feel it. She can sense when a man is just existing versus when he is building something. And that difference is not small. It shows in how you speak, how you move, how you spend your time, and what you prioritize. A man with direction doesn't need to announce it. It is visible. He is working towards something. He has structure in his life. He makes decisions based on long-term thinking, not just short-term feeling. That creates a different kind of presence. It creates respect. And respect is what sustains attraction. Another thing you need to understand is this. A woman wants to feel like she is part of something that is going somewhere, not something that is standing still, not something that depends on emotion alone. She wants to see progress. She wants to see movement. She wants to see that you are not waiting for life to happen to you, but actively building something, because that gives her confidence in the future. Without that, everything feels temporary. So the point is simple. If you have direction, she feels secure. If she feels secure, she invests. And when she sees that your life has purpose, her connection to you becomes deeper. Because now it is not just about how you make her feel in the moment, it is about where you are going and whether she can see herself moving in that direction with you. All 5 reasons follow the same pattern, and this is what most men fail to see. They think attraction is random. They think a woman just falls for a man without structure, without reason, without consistency behind it. So they chase reactions. They try different approaches. They copy what they see and they hope something sticks. But that's not how it works. A woman doesn't fall deeply for a man because of one moment. It happens because of repeated experiences that feel stable over time. She feels safe around you more than once. She sees that you are not desperate consistently. She notices that your attention is real, not forced. She experiences your consistency and she observes your direction. That repetition is what builds trust, and trust is what builds attachment. Now understand this clearly. You don't need to do everything perfectly. You need to be consistent in the things that matter. Because if one of these areas is missing, the connection becomes unstable. If you are emotionally safe but desperate, it creates imbalance. If you are confident but inconsistent, it creates confusion. If you have direction but don't make her feel seen, it creates distance. Everything works together. That is the pattern. Another thing most men miss is that women respond to how they feel over time, not just what you do in one moment. You can say the right thing once and still lose her if your overall behavior doesn't match it, because one moment doesn't build connection. Consistency does. So instead of focusing on isolated actions, you need to focus on how your overall presence feels. Is it stable? Is it clear? Is it controlled? Does it create trust? If the answer is yes, then the connection grows naturally. If the answer is no, then no amount of effort will fix it. So the focus is simple. Stop chasing reactions. Start building patterns, because once the pattern is right, everything else follows. Smart men don't chase feelings. They build the conditions that create them. That is the difference. Most men focus on what to say, when to text, how to act in a moment. They react to situations as they come, hoping the right move will create attraction. But that approach is unstable because it depends on constant adjustment. Smart men move differently. They focus on who they are consistently, not what they do occasionally. They don't try to impress with random effort. They create stability in how they show up. Their behavior doesn't change based on mood or pressure. They are grounded in their standards, their priorities, and their direction. That creates a different experience. Another thing they do is control their energy. They don't overinvest too early. They don't rush to give attention, time, or emotional access before it is earned. They allow things to develop naturally instead of forcing connection. That keeps the dynamic balanced. They also observe instead of reacting. They pay attention to how she responds over time. They notice patterns, not just moments. If something feels off, they don't ignore it. If something aligns, they build on it. That awareness keeps them from making unnecessary mistakes. Another key point is that they stay focused on their own life. They don't drop their goals for temporary attention. They don't adjust their direction to fit someone else's expectations. They maintain their structure regardless of what is happening in the relationship. That creates respect because a man who is stable in his own life does not need to prove himself. His actions already show who he is. So the focus is simple: be consistent, be controlled, be intentional. Because when you move like that, you don't need to chase love. You create the environment where it grows naturally. And once that environment is there, the connection becomes stronger without you forcing it. Most men don't struggle because they lack effort. They struggle because they focus on the wrong things. They think attraction is about saying the right words, doing the right gestures, or creating constant excitement. So they try harder, they do more, they chase attention, and they hope it leads to something deeper. But that approach doesn't work long term because attraction at the surface level is easy to create. Real attachment is not. Real attachment requires stability, control, and consistency. And those are not things you can fake for long. They come from how you live, how you think, and how you move over time. That's where most men fall short. They can create interest for a moment, but they can't maintain it. They can get attention, but they can't build connection. They focus on moments instead of patterns, and patterns are what matter. Another issue is that many men rely on reaction instead of intention. They wait to see what she does, then adjust. They respond based on her energy, her mood, her behavior. That puts them in a position where they are always reacting instead of leading. And when you are always reacting, you lose control. Now understand this clearly. A woman doesn't fall deeply for a man who is constantly adjusting to her. She falls for a man who is stable regardless of her. That stability is what makes her feel secure enough to invest emotionally. It removes confusion. It removes uncertainty. It allows her to connect without hesitation. So if you are struggling, it is not because you are not doing enough. It is because what you are doing is not aligned. You are focusing on short-term reactions instead of long-term presence. You are chasing moments instead of building consistency. And until that changes, the result will stay the same. So the focus is simple: fix the foundation. Because once the foundation is right, everything else becomes easier. And when everything becomes easier, connection stops feeling like something you have to chase. At the end of everything, this is what you need to understand. A woman doesn't fall madly in love because you tried harder than everyone else. She falls because of how she consistently feels around you. That is the difference. Most men think they need to do more attention, more messages, more effort, more pressure. But the truth is, doing more in the wrong direction only makes things worse, because real attachment is not built on effort alone. It is built on the right foundation. If she feels safe with you, she opens up. If you are not desperate, she respects you. If you make her feel genuinely seen, she connects. If you are consistent, she trusts you. And if you have direction, she believes in where things are going. Those 5 things are not random. They are the structure behind real connection. Now, understand this clearly. You don't need to force love. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to compete for it. When these elements are in place, love develops naturally, because now she is not responding to pressure. She is responding to how you make her feel over time. And that feeling is what keeps her there. Another important thing is this: you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent in the things that matter, because perfection is not what creates connection. Stability does. So instead of focusing on what to say next or what move to make, focus on who you are becoming, focus on your behavior, your mindset, and your direction. Because once those are right, everything else becomes easier. So the next time you think about attraction, don't think about chasing, think about building. Because when you build the right foundation, you don't have to go looking for love, it finds you. Now drop your thoughts in the comments, and if this gave you a new perspective, subscribe